Hello everyone, it's Dave from your Workplace Guide. Today we're going to go ahead and get into a topic that we haven't covered before, and that's going to be basically what to bring to a job interview. Now, I know there's a lot of different opinions out there as far as what is effective, what isn't, but this is my advice. These are the things through the years that I've seen, as far as what is effective and maybe not so effective when it comes to what to bring to a job interview. First thing you're going to do is you're going to bring a Padfolio. This is going to be just a simple leather-bound document holder that's going to carry your resumes on it. You want to make sure that it's not crazy over the top or that it has an logo on the outside of it. Just a nice plain leather Padfolio that you can open. It's going to be basically the only thing that you're carrying in to your job interview when you first arrive. Inside of that, as I mentioned, you're going to have your resume, but you're also going to have 2 pens. The reason you want that, obviously, if one goes bad on you, you want to make sure that you've got a backup ready to go. You want to have a minimum of 3 copies of your job resume. And again, that is inside your Padfolio to start. You're going to make sure that you're going to just provide that to the interviewer, regardless of whether or not they need a copy. You're going to just hand them a copy, okay? Because you're going to have it printed on quality cardstock paper or resume stock paper, which is a heavier stock. It's a 24-pound paper, and it's going to be printed in color. So it's something that looks professional. It looks better than the printout that if the job interviewer does have a copy, it's just something they probably dump to a local printer in the office. It's probably in black and white on standard office paper. So this just gives you an opportunity to provide something that kind of adds an element of professionalism. It kind of sells you just a little bit more. Next thing you're going to bring is a professional references sheet. This is going to be printed on the same paper that your resume is printed on, so it's going to match as far as the formatting and the style. You want, again, to have at least 2, if not 3 professional references that you list here. Now, one key you want to make sure you do ahead of time on your professional references, make sure that you have their permission to list them as a professional reference before you list them. That way, when they get that phone call, they're not caught off guard or, out of the loop as far as why this individual may be calling. Make sure you've spoken with your professional references ahead of time before providing them as a reference. Now here in this example, obviously I don't have it printed in the same format as the resume, but you do want to make sure you take the additional time to go ahead and format that, colors the same, fonts the same, make sure that it looks the same as your resume when you come in. Next thing you want to bring, and this is one area that some people do not do, but it's an area to set yourself apart in, a letter of recommendation. Now I realize that a lot of times a letter of recommendation isn't something that companies ask for until they're actually getting very close to making a decision on hiring you. However, it's just one area that you can kind of get ahead of the game on. If you do want to, provide one, just ask the individual beforehand, hey, I am looking for a new position. Would you mind writing just a general letter of recommendation for me? Now, this is something that can be provided in their format. It's not going to be on anything that you print on your paper or anything, because it is a true letter of recommendation coming from a third party. So just make sure, don't necessarily have to bring this the first interview, but it is something that I would recommend trying to bring if at all possible, because it's just another area to set yourself apart. The next thing we're going to talk about is your professional portfolio. Okay, now obviously not all industries have this, so it's not something that everybody, this is going to apply to. But it is something, if you're in certain professions, you want to make sure you bring enough samples along so they can kind of get a feel of your abilities. Graphic design or maybe architectural, there's various, the industry you're in if this is something that applies, but do make sure that if you're going to bring some type of sample or your portfolio along, that you're doing it in a very professional manner. You don't want to have things loose, obviously. You want to make sure that it's professional. Just be sharp and think it through. Last thing we're going to touch on is what not to bring to an interview. Now, I know this is, going to sound pretty obvious for some, but you'd be absolutely amazed through the years on what you see as far as people rolling into a job interview. Leave your cell phone in the car. I know this is, not everyone is going to agree with this one, but even when it's on vibrate, it's an annoying and it's a distraction. So just leave the cell phone in the car. It's 1 hour of time. You'll survive without it, trust me. Leave your kids at home. Do not bring your kids along. Don't think that they can sit in the car in the parking lot while you run into a job interview. Obviously, don't bring them into the lobby, even though I've seen that happen. Make arrangements for your kids. Don't bring them into a job interview. Don't bring them anywhere near your job interview. It's a distraction and it's something you don't want. Business cards, when you open your Padfolio, if you've had other interviews, make sure you don't have any other business cards that are going to fall out or that are just loose in there. Take all business cards out before you go to a job interview. Do not bring a drink in. If the company wants you to have something to drink, which they're going to, they're going to offer you a beverage. Of course, it's okay to accept that offer, but don't bring your own beverage in. People that haul around a coffee or a mug of some type all the time, don't do it. Don't be one of those people. Last thing, don't bring in a backpack or any other type of bag. Just bring in your Padfolio. Keep it clean. Keep it professional. You don't need a bag slung over your shoulder. Use a little common sense here, but do not bring in a backpack. A few key points as we wind this up. You want to remember this when considering what to bring to an interview. Professionalism is key. Okay, always. Make sure you come across in a professional manner. Less is more. The less you're carrying, the more professional you look. The less distractions you have. It's just that simple. When in doubt, leave it out. So if you have any ideas, as far as I may bring this or I may bring this, I don't know if I should, just don't do it. Leave it at home. Try to come with as few things as possible. You're going to benefit more in the long run from that. If you've enjoyed this content, feel free to subscribe below. Leave any comments. I welcome those. That's the last thing that we're going to touch on today as far as this topic is concerned. So I do appreciate you listening, and we'll talk soon.